Uh, Good afternoon, everyone. Uh, Welcome to the webinar Building the Future Together by Genesis and by European Chip Skills Academy. This joint webinar explores how sustainability and workforce development can shape the semiconductors industry's future. The session will highlight the role of PFAS in the semiconductor manufacturing, the challenges, and how the Genesis EU project is working with the industry partners to identify safer and more sustainable alternatives. The agenda for today it is like first we'll start with an introduction to European Chip Skills Academy. That will be by Victoria Cummings. She's a senior manager, workforce development and EU projects at Semi Europe. Since joining Semi Europe in 2023, Victoria manages project that supports workforce development, including the development of educational materials, awareness raising, and programs to improve DEI in the semiconductor sector. Currently, she oversees the European Chip Skills Academy and the European Chips Diversity Alliance project and involved in several European projects related to skills and development of education in microelectronics. Next, we'll head to Introduction to Genesis, which will be given by Iran Lachaki. She is a Senior Policy Coordinator also at Semi Europe. She is a Brussels-based young professional working closely with European institutions at the core of EU policy making. The experience over public affairs, stakeholder management, and event management, and international collaborations gained through roles in public organizations. She enjoys building bridges between sectors to shape forward-thinking sustainable outcomes. Currently working in the semiconductor with particular focus on EHS and sustainability. After that, we'll head to what are PFAS and what are they currently needed in semiconductors by Julia Ostens. Julia Austin is responsible for scientific management at Fraunhofer IPMS and serves as a work package 4 lead in the EU project Genesis. She has a background in physics and she completed her PhD at the Helmholtz Zentrum Dresden-Rosenhof, where she later worked as a postdoctorate researcher. She also worked at Fraunhofer IVI and completed an additional certification in Fraunhofer Research Management. Next, we will head to Pedro Teixeira. He's a project lead at IMEC. He'll be talking about why we're looking for alternatives and why substitutions are important. He works on environmental and sustainability topics, including environmental sensing technologies and PFAS in the semiconductor industry. He has a background in chemistry and environmental engineering. IMEC is also the work package 3 lead at the Genesis EU project. Then we'll head back to Julia, and then we'll talk about how Genesis is working towards solutions. And then until end, we'll have some question and answers. I request everyone joining to submit all the questions in the Q&A or the chat box, and we can review them in this Q&A sections. Yeah, on to you, Victoria.
All right, there we go. Thank you so much for the intro, Jatin. Can you see everything okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. So I do not have to present myself now because Jatin did such a wonderful job presenting me already. But I will give you just a little taste of the European Chip Skills Academy project, which is one in Semi's portfolio of projects on workforce development, which we manage. And so I know you're here for sustainability, so I won't take too long, but just to give you kind of the flavor of where we're coming from when we organize webinars like this, is at the start of the project, we wanted to put together a comprehensive study about the semiconductor industry in Europe, specifically about their demands for labor and the labor shortage that we expect to face in the next couple of years. So back towards the end of last year, we produced the study, the ECSA skills strategy, which looked at the rate of investment in Europe, the expansions of current fabs, new production lines that are being created because of the CHIPS Act, the pilot lines, all of these different opportunities. And we wanted to see how that was going to affect the amount of people in the semiconductor industry, and more specifically, how many people are we expected to lack by 2030. So what you see here is just kind of the estimation of the people that are retiring over the next couple of years, the growth of job openings, and critically, the top little pink bit of the bar is how many people will be missing by 2030. So we project about 65,000 job openings will be unfilled because of not sufficiently skilled workforce, and also just not enough people that are entering into these fields of study in order to take some of these jobs. So that's where we come in with the European Chip Skills Academy. So our big mandate is to kind of work off of these three pillars that you see. First is what we call creating opportunity, and that's a lot of hands-on initiatives that we curate specifically for high school and university level students. So that's sort of what we're doing here with this collaboration with Genesis, is that we try to bring the industry closer to students, make it more visible, give students more opportunity to interface with the industry, and participate in some hands-on training on specific elements that are highly desired. The second is the e-learning component. So here is where we do more of the upskilling for people that are currently employed in the industry. So we produce e-learning materials that are intended to keep pace with the different technological changes in the industry. So every year we produce a survey which checks with our industry partners what kind of skills gaps are you seeing among your workforce. And then we use that to design small modules that people can use after they're done with the day, just to kind of keep their skills sharp and make sure that they're keeping up with the pace of changes in the industry. And finally is the network building side of things. So this is where I work a lot personally. And this is basically just to connect the different sides of the industry, make sure that research knows what's going on with manufacturing, make sure that European projects are interfacing with the outcomes of the CHIPS Act, so that everybody is working together and that we can try to meet these challenges together. And so kind of starting from that point with the network building, just to show you where we sit in the ecosystem. So right now under the CHIPS Academy, we run 3 working groups. The first on diversity, equity, and inclusion, mainly looking to support underrepresented groups entering the semiconductor industry. How do we make these opportunities more visible for people that are not traditionally part of the industry? As you can imagine, a lot of that is also focused on improving the participation of women in the industry. The second is our education and training working group. So that's really specifically where we do a lot of these in-person trainings and also develop some of our e-learning materials with industry partners. And then finally is our skills intelligence working group, where we collect the data that you saw on my first slide. And so just to give you the feeling that we interface quite regularly with the National CHIPS Competence Centers, with the pilot lines, the design platform. So we act as a bridge for a lot of these initiatives and these European projects to reach out to students and to share their message. And especially for anyone that's interested in sustainability, we do have a lot of e-learning courses on things like biodegradable PCBs. And if you go on to learn.chipsacademy.eu, that is our e-learning platform, which is completely free for anyone to use. So you can scroll through, we have about 100 courses. Everything is open access. Anyone from students to young professionals to industry veterans are welcome to take any of the courses and make use of all of the materials that we have accumulated. And then just on the final note, since this is a webinar that we intended for students, I wanted to mention our student ambassador program. So we have just about 98 students now from across Europe who participate in this program. And so we like to run some of the ideas we have with students to make sure that it's something that's going to be in their interest, that we're not kind of making initiatives that someone in a boardroom somewhere thinks is interesting, but the students are not going to resonate with at all. So we use them as a sounding board for a lot of our initiatives, but we also try to use this program to make students more mobile across Europe. So we've taken many of our student ambassadors to Semicon Europa, to different industry conferences around Europe, and we use this as a way to improve students' access to the industry, promote them so that they are in speaking roles face-to-face with industry leaders, and also to greenlight some of the ideas they have for different webinar series, or if they're interested in exploring topics in more detail, we try to facilitate that with webinars like this. And if there's anyone after today's session that would be interested in doing more webinars like this, or is interested in some of the other initiatives that we run within the CHIPS Academy, I put up this QR code really quick, and I can also put a link in the chat if you'd like to become a student ambassador and take part in some of these initiatives that we do. All right, that was a really quick pitch. Thank you very much. And then I can give over to Aranda.
Perfect. Genesis, to go into this, Genesis, the full form of Genesis is Generate in Europe, a sustainable industry for semiconductor. And just a quick introduction about who I am. I'm Aranda Truckee. I'm Senior Policy Coordinator here at Semi Europe Brussels. I'm based in Brussels. And I am leading one of the work packages of this project, which focuses on regulation, communication, dissemination, and exploitation. So, a quick introduction about this project. Of course, this project, it's under CHIPS JU, so it's co-funded by the European Union and also our Swiss partners, SERI. It's a huge consortium which includes 57 partners. So it's one of the biggest consortiums that's formed by the semiconductor value chain in Europe, because as you can see, it includes people from research and RTOs, from academia, from industry. Every part of the ecosystem is involved in this project, and it is coordinated by CIALET. It's a 3-year project. This is the picture from the 1st of May 2025, when we kicked off the project at CIALET. As you can see, almost all of us are there. Maybe you can do a game and try to find some of us in this picture. So what is this project about? There are 4 pillars of this project. The first part is about monitoring and sensing. It's about real-time emissions tracking and feedback systems. The second part is about new materials, which focuses on alternatives to PFAS and low GWP alternatives. And the third part is waste minimization, which is focusing on recycling and reuse. And the fourth part is critical raw materials mitigation, basically trying to reduce dependency and improve the resource security for Europe. And just to go a little bit more into what are our goals and what is the mission or vision of this project. So the mission of this project is to replace PFAS chemicals from semiconductor manufacturing through sustainable materials, advanced process monitoring, and circular economy practices. And our vision would be to build a resilient, circular, and environmentally responsible microelectronics sector, which is aligned with the European Green Deal and with the European CHIPS Act, which is the main regulation that is important for the semiconductor industry. And in this effort of ours, that's why we are having this webinar today in association with ECSA, because we would like to reach out to the young generation, the youth, and inform you about why we are working on this topic, why it's so important, and why it's important that we have these conversations even for the future and work towards finding solutions, which my other colleagues will go into more details later. So we have 6 work packages in this project, as you can see from 1 to 6. The first one, which is coordinated, led by CIALET, who's also the coordinator of the project. It's focused mainly on management. The second work package is led by CSEM, an RTO based in Switzerland. It focuses on process monitoring and sensing hardware solution. Third work package is led by IMEC, which is based in Belgium. It focuses on environmentally friendly materials and alternatives. Fourth work package is led by Fraunhofer. It focuses on minimization of waste and emissions. And just a note, one of our speakers, Pedro, he's part of IMEC, so he is representing that work package. And Julia, who's also another speaker, is leading, of course, work package 4. Work package 5 is led by University of Roma. It focuses on material scarcity and impact mitigation. And finally, work package 6 is led by us, SEMI Europe, which focuses on regulation, communication, dissemination, and exploitation. And I will not bore you guys, but just a little bit details. When we say work packages, what are we saying? What do we do under these work packages? So as you can see, work package 2 is basically focusing on identification of key monitoring points in manufacturing, development of new sensors and sensing techniques, And then, of course, we also have validation of sensing systems in lab and pilot lines. Work package 3 focuses more on identification and characterization of PFAS alternatives, integration of alternative materials into test environments, and environmental impact assessment of the new materials. Work package 4 focuses on mapping current waste and emission profiles, engineering solutions for minimization, environmental compliance, and reporting mechanisms. And work package 5, it focuses on analysis of supply chain vulnerabilities, identification of substitution opportunities, and circular economy roadmap for the microelectronics materials. And work package 6, the whole webinar that we are doing is under work package 6, where we are trying to ensure that whatever we are doing with this project does not end with just this project and continues hopefully with the new generation. So from me, I think that's it from my side. And if you have any questions about the project later, please feel free.